So we understand now what those challenges are and the impact on these specific marketing use cases. But now really we need to understand just how big of a problem is this, particularly if you're marketing within these closed ecosystems such as Facebook and Google, and also if you're advertising outside these closed ecosystems as well. So quick question for you, Phil. So how important is first-party data going to be moving forward? And is all first-party data important?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. In our first video, we talked about, I guess, the changes that are upcoming and why it's important that the brands need to be, I guess, ahead of those. These changes are coming into place inevitably, and some of them have already been implemented. So for many brands, first-party data is becoming increasingly important, whether you're a large retailer or whether you're a large publisher as well, right? So all businesses with a digital footprint should be investing in strategies to increase their knowledge of a user. That is obvious. Persistent, I guess, or deterministic IDs such as emails and phone numbers are going to become way more useful for brands as we move forward, especially on the buy side. So being able to identify users on the open web, and then for publishers obviously on the sell side, informing buyers that these are in fact those users as well. I guess if you're looking at it through the brand lens, where first-party data becomes really interesting and really important is with the creation, I guess, of what we term at Media Rhythmics as second-party data deals with other publishers and brands. So enabling them to cross-reference their data sets between other members of that agreed alliance and allowing them to activate their data outside of, I guess, closed ecosystems such as Google and Facebook. So that is really key. If you're talking about, I guess, non-persistent or I guess, well, mainly non-persistent first-party data, where it becomes, I guess, more important really for me is probably on the publisher side. So if we're looking at, I guess, first-party unknown, I guess, but navigation data, what this provides a publisher is scale, really. So enabling a publisher to overlay machine learning to score users, in turn enabling them to understand more about those users, e.g. prediction of socio-demographic information about those unknown users as well, and then allowing them to scale this moving forward with regard to any advertising executions they look to embark on with that first-party data.
Makes sense. So persistent data being obviously incredibly important without cookies, and obviously consented data as well. So it sounds like that's putting closed ecosystems in quite a good position. So question for you, Wayne, like, would you agree that closed ecosystems are in that strong position, and why?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think some of the closed ecosystems have incredible scale of a user base, and they can collect consent across that user base quite easily across their product sets. And once they have that consent, they can then run targeted ads on owned and operated or even third-party sites. So they're definitely an advantage. And it's definitely interesting, the evolution of seeing almost new closed ecosystems come to market. So publishers trying to either get together with other publishers or striking out on their own to create their own sort of ad ecosystem. The challenges with that, I guess, is scale. It's a trade-off between is it really worth an advertiser investing in that closed ecosystem? Would it provide enough performance or ability versus the effort it takes to set it up and run it? But definitely seeing an opportunity for publishers to think better about creating their ecosystem. But yeah, as I say, they definitely need to be scalable.
Yeah.
Really agree.
I was curious to hear your thoughts on that as well, Phil, because I think obviously there's a bit of an arms race to try and get consistent, persistent data from users, and obviously the closed ecosystems by nature have just been put in a good position. So do you see other tech providers trying to operate in a similar way, and what other options do they have?
I guess if you're talking about other tech providers, I would kind of take a step back and look at other types of businesses. Yeah, I mean, I think certainly you have retailers becoming or wanting to become their own closed ecosystem, or even what we term in Media Rhythmics private gardens, which is a slight nuance on walled gardens where it's a little bit more transparent to the buyer. And So you have it on the retail side, certainly on the telco side, these businesses have a huge amount of first-party data. Certainly on the travel side as well, where they can use their first-party data more effectively to sell it on to brands. I mean, I guess we term it kind of like retail media, but I guess it could be travel media, and I guess could be telecoms media as well. So certainly, but I mean, I think if you look at those types of businesses, they have a particular advantage, and they're big. So if you look at a BT, and if you look at you know, an Asda, or if you look at something like a, you know, a Sainsbury's, they have a ton of data, so they're in a really good position as we move into this new world. But then for some retailers and some brands, so particularly ones that are D2C, do not have a strong D2C offering, they, you know, they don't have as much first party data, so they have to rely on other things out there outside of the closed ecosystems to support them, which is technology. So, you know, there's a number of technologies available. So universal ID providers are making a big rise at the moment in the industry. So you have businesses such as ID5, you have LiveRamp, you have the Trade Desk, etc. These businesses are fundamentally helping advertisers bridge the gap with publishers. So either by associating common IDs for users across the ecosystem, which also, bearing in mind they can be deterministic and probabilistic, or by using things like SSO, so single sign-on, which the Trade Desk are lobbying for at the moment. You also have number 2, which is data clean rooms. So there's a big rise in this particular notion in the market today. So InfoSum are making great strides in this space. Fundamentally, as a business, they provide a safe and secure and compliant way for advertisers to upload their own first-party data sets, query it against other partners in that particular ecosystem. So that could be publishers or other brands. It enables them to start creating these alliances, which is really interesting for brands as we move into this new world. And then you have machine learning as well, which is point number 3, really, which is, you know, for some providers, I guess that means leveraging first-party data and machine learning techniques for contextual. It also enables brands that don't have a huge amount of first-party data, but they do have some really rich, I guess, seed audiences, enabling them to acquire new unknown customers for marketing use cases such as lookalike modeling. This can be deployed as we move into the new world on the open web through the help of actually universal ID providers, or they can actually deploy these use cases as well through these second-party data partnerships as well. So we're definitely moving into a really interesting space at the moment. If you look at that machine learning piece, there's some really great technologies that help data science teams out there today with those machine learning functions like GCP, so Google. You have Microsoft Azure as well. You have Snowflake, which who obviously just IPO'd, I think it was last year, the back end of last year, that was huge. So there's a lot of really exciting solutions coming to the fore.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of moving parts as well, right? It kind of depends on the type of advertising you are and also your access to data. It sounds like there isn't really a one size fits all solution, is there, when it comes to addressing user identity, which I think takes us quite nicely into our next video, where we try and bring together what marketers really should be doing in this space. So hopefully the viewers have a good understanding of just the scale of the challenge and some of the different types of solutions that they have on offer to them. So stay tuned for the next video where we'll explore some of those in a bit more detail.